Alice in Wonderland takes place at two different settings. The first one is the ordinary world, which is a high class, upper class in social environment. And the second one is the magical world, where magical creatures lives. It could be dragons, monsters, or talking animals. This confusing magical world could easily indicate the mind of a child. In this case, it could be Alice's own mind that she enters through when she follows the rabbit through the hole. So she dives into her own thoughts. Alice got some problems in the ordinary world. She don't feels like that she fit into anything. She can't find her place in her own world, and therefore she, in the magical world, have to deal with some problems. So that when she is done completing these tasks in the magical world, she's ready to face the problems that awaits for her in the ordinary world.
Okay, I'll have to talk about the universe. And there's two worlds, which is parallel worlds. It isn't everyone who can get into the fantasy world because the persons who can get into the fantasy world are the chosen ones. And in the fantasy world, there's a war going on, and it's a war between the good and evil, the White Queen versus the Red Queen. And to get back to the real world, Alice, who's the chosen one, has to drink blood from the dragon. And in the fantasy world, there's two colors. Um, and at the Red Queen's castle, the colors are dark green and red. And the red color can indicate aggression, war, and blood, and the green color can indicate jealousy and gluttony. And that described the Red Queen very well. And in the at the white at the White Queen's castle, the colors are white and light red, and the white color can symbolize honor or peace, and the light red color can symbolize friendship and unselfish feelings. Um, and that also describes the White Queen very well. Alice is the protagonist and the chosen one. She is curious, and we can see that because she follows the rabbit into the portal, which is a hole in the ground. She develops while she's in the Wonderland, and we can see that because she finds out what she wants. For example, right before she leaves to the Wonderland, she's asked she's asked by a boy to marry him. Um, and when she comes back from the Wonderland, she know what she wants, and she isn't afraid to go against the norms. She's just following her heart.
The Red and the White Queen. The White Queen sees the good queen and she believes in the best of people. She's liked by her surroundings and follows the rules in Wonderland. And the Red Queen is the sister to the White Queen and is all the opposite of her. She wants to control on Wonderland and rather want to be feared than to be loved, like the White Queen is.
The Mad Hatter is her mentor, and he tells her you have lost your muchness, which means that she lost some of her imagination. He helps her to escape from the Red Knight and risk his own life to save Alice. This means he believes that Alice is the real Alice, and he is willing to sacrifice his own life for his friends. He knows a lot about the way to live the life in Wonderland, and help Alice understand that she have to find a sword to kill the dragon.
Composition. To explain the composition, we have to use the home away home model, because Alice starts in the real world and then she goes to Wonderland and ends back up at home at the real world. And while she's in Wonderland, she figures out that all of her dreams about Wonderland is true and that she has been there once before when she was younger. Alice knows that she has to make a decision about the proposal when she gets home, and while she's in Wonderland, she has time to think about the situation. When she comes back home to the real world, she decides to follow her heart and decides not to marry Hamish. So she develops in the way that she is taking her own decisions now instead of following her family traditions.
The sword is a convention from normal fairy tales, and she used the sword to beat the dragon and fight the dragon. And the dragon is the final test, and she has to defeat the dragon to make peace in Wonderland. And the main character, Alice, she goes through an inner conflict through her actions in the film. Family and friends are the most important themes in the film. And for Alice, friendship are the most important because she becomes friends with many of the people in Wonderland, as that is the people we see here. And she cares about the people and she wants to save the fantasy world. And she becomes friends with the Bandersnatch, who saves her from the Red Queen and bring us to the White Queen. In Wonderland, family are also very important because there is going on war on between the two families.
And one of the themes is growing up, and it is an important theme because Alice develops in the movie. Before she went to the Wonderland, she was doing almost everything she was told to, and was a good girl. But when she comes out of the Wonderland, she's more mature and knows what she wants to do, and she follows her heart instead of following the norms that she's told to follow. The message in this movie is that you have to trust your own judgment. When you meet a conflict, you have to take your time to think about it, and you have to trust your own instincts instead of being manipulated with.
Alice in Wonderland can in many ways be related to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Actually, the entire plot is very similar. It's about some children from the ordinary world who enters the magical world where there's a war going on between good and evil. In the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, it's a lion against a queen, and in Alice in Wonderland, it's two queens versus each other. But also, the ordinary world is very similar. The children come from a very troubled ordinary world where a lot of adults and grown-up Christians are asked of them that they cannot relate to, they cannot understand their own world. But when they are finished in the magical world and it comes back to the ordinary world, they now have grown up and have a greater understanding of how their own world is built.
Here on the picture we see Alice's mother-in-law, and we see them in the real world, and she referenced to the Red Queen in the real world because she says when they walk in the garden that Impulse sees the gardeners planted right roses when as specifically as with red roses. And the Red Queen, she's all about the red roses and she hate all white things, and that is where we can see that the Red Queen in Wonderland are Alice's mother-in-law in the real world.